So McDonald's has tried an AI drive-thru ordering system before, but it didn't work well enough, and they shut it down. Now they're trying it again with a new partner system that has processed over 1 million test transactions at a 90% completion rate without any human help. Whether 90% is good enough for a chain that serves millions of people daily is the real question. Because the other 10% that is not going too well at that scale represents an enormous number of frustrated customers. We're looking at a tweet or an X post right here. McDonald's has announced that it's rolling out a new AI-powered drive-thru ordering system called Archi IQ, built within a partnership with Google, and customers are already pushing back really hard. But I want you to step back for a moment and imagine something really familiar. You roll down your window, you stare into the plastic grid, you speak into a void, and a voice speaks back. It sounds really friendly, it sounds patient, it asks if you want fries with that. You think you're talking to a person, perhaps a teenager that's working a summer job, perhaps someone with a pulse, a history, a heartbeat, but you're not. You're talking to a master brain, a localized silicon hive mind sitting in a server rack, processing voices of millions of people in real time. Welcome to the singularity of the American drive-thru. To understand this sheer magnitude of what's happening at this very second, we have to look back at the staggering scale of the fast food empire. When you order a hamburger, you're not just buying lunch. You're triggering the final step in a masterpiece of this planetary logistics. In fact, if you haven't heard about or have seen my El Nino video, the Super El Nino one, check it out. I'll pin it somewhere here. The wheat has been harvested before you ordered the food. The cattle has been raised. The potatoes are pulled from the earth. The supply chain moves millions of tons of matter across oceans and continents with microscopic precision. Every French fry is the same length, the same color. Every patty is the same weight. It's an industrial symphony. But for 70 years, there's been a glitch in a system, a bottleneck, a massive, unpredictable point of friction. Us, humans. Human beings are chaotic. We stutter. We change our minds. We ask for no pickles, and then we ask for extra ketchup, and then we remember we wanted a diet soda instead of a regular one. To a perfectly optimized supply chain, human conversation is a complete nightmare. For decades, the corporations were trying to solve this problem. They put touchscreens in the lobby. They've made you order through an app. They've tried to remove the human interaction by having you press a button instead of speaking. But the drive-thru, it was the final frontier. I mean, I want you to imagine the logistics and the hardship that they have to go through to make this work really well. Think about the acoustic environment in the drive-thru lane. It's a hostile territory for a computer. We have the low rumble of a diesel engine. You have sirens wailing 2 streets over. You have a thunderstorm pouring rain onto the metal roof of the drive-thru window. You have a toddler screaming in the back seat. And through all that noise, human beings out of the window, there's a human being talking to a window and mumbles a highly customized order into a cheap microphone. A human brain can filter out all those noises. It could understand everything. A human brain can look at the context, hear, half mumbled words, and know exactly what you mean. A computer panics. 2 years ago, the biggest fast food chain on earth tried to automate this. They brought in a legendary computing giant, the same people who built the supercomputer that beat the world champion at chess. Sorry about that. They built an AI. They put the speaker in there and they put a microphone, and the humans broke it. The AI did not understand the nuance of the regional accent. It didn't understand that the customers have changed their minds mid-sentence, like they wanted extra ketchup or something like that. So what did it do? It hallucinated. It added random unwanted items to the receipt. It charged people for things they never asked for. So guess what the corporation has done? The corporation has pulled the plug. They surrendered. They disconnected the machines and they just hired a whole bunch of people so they can just perform this basic function. You would think that this was the end of the story. The humans have won. The chaos of human speech was too complex for the machine to understand, and it was conquered. But the technology doesn't retreat. It just regroups, and then it comes back even harder. Because right now, they're back. The corporation didn't just tweak the old software. They went out and partnered with the largest search engine on the planet that has so much information and context. They brought in the people who mapped the world, who indexed the human knowledge, who possessed the most advanced speech recognition algorithms in the existence. I mean, Google Maps. These guys have done so much stuff. They know, they have so much context. But they built a new architecture. They called it the Archi IQ. And they didn't just put AI in the speaker. They realized that the speed of light is a little too slow, or the speed of processing. If you speak into a microphone in Ohio and the data has to travel through fiber optic cables to a server farm in Virginia, for example, to be processed and then travel back, there's a delay, basically, a fraction of a second. To a human being, that fraction of a second feels uncanny. It feels robotic. So they changed the physical infrastructure. They're installing massive high-powered computing nodes, edge cloud blades, you've probably heard about it from our previous videos, directly into the restaurants. They put supercomputers inside the building. I hope I can cover this in a future video. If McDonald's wants to invite me over, I can talk about this. This is some crazy infrastructure that goes into stadiums and so on and so forth. They gave the voice a name, Archi. And Archi doesn't just take orders. Archi watches the entire restaurant. It monitors the kitchen. It tracks the flow of cars. It calculates the exact moment the fry baskets need to be dropped. It alerts the human managers when a bottleneck is forming. It's omnipresent. Digital observer server running in the restaurant from the shadows. But let's look at the speaker, the point of contact. In just 5 test locations, this new intelligence has already processed over 1 million transactions. Think about the sheer volume of data in 1 million chaotic conversations. A customer pulls up, they speak Spanish. Archi does not skip a beat. It replies in perfect Spanish. A man pulls up, he doesn't say, "I want a double cheeseburger." He just leans out of the window and says, "Give me my usual." And the machine knows, it remembers him. It accesses the data profile. Hold on a second. Do you actually do that when you go to McDonald's or Burger King? Do you just say, "I want my usual"? Well, it places the order, it tests, it basically 90% of the time the transaction is completed from start to finish without a single human employee ever stepping into this to take an order. 90%. From the engineering standpoint, this is a triumph of human ingenuity. It is the conquest of the unstructured data. We taught a rock how to think. In fact, it is a rock, it's silicon. And then we taught it how to survive the chaos of the American lunch hour. Think about it, it's kind of funny, the irony. But here's where the story shifts, because the customers, the people in the cars, they are furious. They're talking to the internet. They're on their phones, and they're reading about this, and they really don't like it. The backlash is immediate and it's intense. Why? The machine is accurate, it's fast, it never gets tired, it never has a bad day, it never takes vacation. They're angry because we're crossing an invisible line. For our entire evolutionary history, the exchange of food was deeply a communal act. It was the foundation of human society. You can take a look at this tweet right here. But even at the window of the fast food restaurant, the most industrialized version of eating ever created, there was still a transaction of humanity. This is what I'm reading in the comments here. A tired smile, a shared complaint about the weather, a moment of eye contact as you handed over the dollar bill. When you replace that person with an algorithm, you aren't just saving 30 seconds on a drive-thru, you are stripping the friction of our society. Well, a lot of times people don't even want to talk to other people, and I could say I've been doing that, trying to avoid human contact, just going through drive-thru or doing orders, but that humanity part still remains. When your internet drops and your credit card is declined, your order is wrong, the machine offers no accountability. You cannot argue with the algorithm. You cannot plead your case to a neural network, which is the reason why I seek human contact. You are trapped in a loop of automated apologies. We want the convenience of the machine, but we crave the accountability of a human. We're entering an era where people who are making your food, the people handling your money, the people who are doing all the hard work, all the physical labor, are being hidden away. The human workers are still there in the back, sweating over a hot grill. But the corporation has decided that you don't need them. You don't need them anymore because they can be replaced by a machine. The corporation has decided they don't want to do that. You just need to speak to the master brain, and that's it. We built a planetary machine to feed ourselves perfectly, but In the process, we've decided that human connection was just an efficiency waiting to be optimized. Next time you pull up to that growing plastic board, listen closely to the video. Listen to the pauses. Listen to the pitch. You aren't just ordering a meal. You're talking to the future, and it doesn't care if you smile back. It'll just do that thing for you. I want to conclude this video by asking you if you've ever talked to one of those AI agents when you are trying to speak with a customer service representative who actually also has the typing sounds. To me, that sounds a little annoying, but I want to hear your opinion about this. If you watched thus far, say something nice or not so nice in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.